Welcome back. The wage agreement finally signed. We'll be speaking to Lonman in a little while. First, Discovery Insure has been collecting data on how we as South Africans drive through its smartphone driving app. So tonight we thought we'd try and solve the question, who are the best drivers on the road and how can you decrease your insurance and your risks on the road? Well, to discuss, we're joined by Discovery Insure Executive Director Themba Baloyi. Great to have you with us, Themba. My first question is, are, as we have heard, women better drivers than men?
Certainly.
Good.
And that's the reality.
Very good. You've also looked at men over 60, I think, and women over 50, and they're actually the best drivers on the road. Is that correct?
It is correct, but you also need to take into account that it's not just a blanket. You've got older men who are not actually great drivers, but you've got also younger men who are very good drivers. So the app gives us the ability to analyze individually how the individual is driving. So we can't just generalize and say, just because you fall into this grouping, therefore this is how you drive. The intention...
However, let me stop you there. Why these oldies, if I can call them that, are they driving slower?
It's not just a question of driving slow. Because there are a couple of factors that we are measuring. So we're measuring speeding, which is, I suppose, that's where your mind is at the moment. And then we've got something called ABCs, which is the acceleration, braking, cornering. Those are clear indicators because if your braking is so much frequent, it tells us a couple of things. You are tailgating and you don't have correct following distance. So those are some of the factors we take into account. Of course, there are numerous additional factors that we take into consideration. But what is important is that you individualize this. So it's like your personal DNA that is not comparable to anyone else. And that's how we come into the conclusion on how you're driving, whether you're a good driver or a bad driver.
First, the broad sweeps, because I want to look at that individual and how it can help you. But who should we be avoiding on the roads? Is it those young guys? You know, I'm looking at all the stereotypes and seeing if they're true.
And that's what I'm trying to avoid, the stereotypes, because the stereotypes do tend to lead us astray.
But they're there for a reason.
Yeah, but they do lead us astray, and we should be quite careful. Of course, under general circumstances, the younger drivers lack the experience. So we know that as a result of that lack of experience, you could end up with unexpected driving behavior, which could lead to fatalities. And by the way, one of the key reasons why we're involved in this work is because we know the road fatalities in our country. And I know that RTMC has been working very hard in the Department of Transport to solve this problem. But what we've decided to do is to work in partnership with all the stakeholders and use something that encourages the individual, which is why we're using a rewards program to try and bribe you basically to drive better. I know when you use the word bribing, it doesn't sound good, but there is a correct reason why we're doing it. We've picked up that when you encourage people to do the right things and you reward them, they tend to change their behavior. We are seeing it with the app as well. The competitive nature that comes through when you invite your friends, when you start engaging with them. I personally have just realized that one of my friends happens to be a better driver than me. And I think that's what is the most fascinating thing.
Everybody thinks they're the best.
Exactly.
All right, so quickly explain the app. So it tells you when you're braking too fast and things like that. And are you noticing that people are modifying their behavior?
100%. I mean, we've seen a dramatic change of behavior. As soon as people download the app, maybe the first 2 days, they're driving under normal circumstances. But because of the immediate feedback you get to know how you drove the previous trip. The trip from Sentin to these studios, for me, indicated how I drove. And I was pleased to notice that I've got 5 stars. But the moment you've got 3 stars and 4 stars, then it starts clicking to say, but why am I having these experiences? And that's how you change behavior.
All right, very interesting. And I'm so glad that women are still better drivers. Thank you so much for your time. That was Discovery Insure Executive Director Themba Baloyi.